have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan, named the System.
Bulky religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blast. Like we're coming up on Alderaan.
You may fire when ready.
Welcome to Alderaan Explosion, the Explosion Network's Star Wars podcast where we're counting down to Solo, a Star Wars story. This is episode 2. We are only a week out from the movie's release. And in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the movie history leading up to Solo, how we got to this movie, and the trials and tribulations that this movie's gone through, trouble in shooting. I'm sure you've heard about it. We'll also be talking about if you could write a Solo movie, what would it be like? Who deserves the next Solo character movie film? Overall thoughts going to Star Wars story, and we'll be dropping some hot Solo predictions before heading into the movie. And I'll give you my quick thoughts on Last Shot, the Han Solo tie-in book, even though I haven't finished it yet. Joining me this week, Ashley Hobley.
I'm here. I read the blurb of that book. It sounds good.
That's good. The blurb is a good part.
I held the book in my hands.
Oh, did you really?
Yes.
What store did you go to?
Dimmicks.
Okay, I don't have a Dimmicks.
No, I wish we had a Dimmicks.
Shepparton, Taggleton.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Kieran Marchant
Hi.
is also
How
joining
you going?
us.
I've not held the book. I've not looked at the book. I've only heard the book's name by Dylan's reference.
Are there bookstores in Shepparton?
There are bookstores in Shepparton.
Oh, okay.
But I'm too scared to go to them, so that's why I bought a Kindle.
Why would you be scared to go to a bookstore?
Well, there was at one point. I think the bus stop has changed, but there used to be the bus stop right near the bookstore, and at that bus stop, God damn English. At the bus stop,
mate.
all like the people that were a little bit hung out, especially on like their Centrelink days. They just, oh God, I mentioned Centrelink on a podcast. Bail out. That's Star Wars. I
can't imagine reading the Star Wars books on a Kindle. I was just thinking about it because one of my favorite things, they're my favorite book to buy, and I make sure to get all the new ones in hardcover because all of them have such great artwork on the covers.
Yep.
Yeah, but I don't care
good.
that much.
I suppose. Did you look at you held the Last Shot one, Ash? Yeah. Did you see how it has a reversible cover and all that?
No, I didn't.
It's pretty cool. Okay, so it's like, because it's called a Han and Lando novel. It's not like a Han novel. It's switches back and forth, and it's considered a novel for both of them. The cover is reversible, so it has Lando or Han, however you want to do it.
The dust cover, yeah.
Yeah, the dust cover, yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like it. It's like you can do that for DVDs. I've never seen a book.
I know,
do
that would be awkward because it's kind of bent to be one way, though.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Like, how do you bend it back? And
we just bend it. Like you bend it in the same spot, and then by the time you close the book cover,
is the Lando cover better? In your opinion?
Is there any reason to unfold it? Like, I would just rather than be like, here's a plastic pocket with a second cover in the back of the thing.
I don't think that's going to happen. So I'll give let's start with my quick thoughts on Last Shot. Do you need to read it before seeing the movie? Like some other, like the Rogue One Catalyst book, which I did heavily feel like was a big part of me loving that film the first time I watched it? No, because even though I haven't finished Last Shot yet, about halfway so far, a lot of it actually takes place when Ben Solo's like 4 or 3, like something like that, and it like flashes back between that time period to a couple years after this movie. So none of it's like prequel to the Han Solo movie, because you can't really do a prequel to a movie that's so much heavily a prequel for the character. Defeats the purpose of the movie. So I think it doesn't matter if you read it now or after the movie. Either way it's going to work. But I'm really, really enjoying it so far. The person writing it, I don't remember their name. I can reach over and get my book.
Have you done any research for this freaking? You haven't put time.
I do. I just did. I've million and one fucking notes, but I haven't wrote down the author's name of the book.
Not important.
Just letting us
not
down.
Important. I think it's someone I can't pronounce anyway. But he's done a really, really good job at writing Han. He is done a really, really good job to the point where I think so Claudia Gray, I think, has done the best job so far at writing Leia. Like reading, anytime she's wrote Leia, you're just like, that is Leia. You have embodied what that character is. And this guy, who looks like Ash is intently searching for the name of the author, has written Han very, very well, to the point it just flows so well, and you can picture Harrison Ford saying these lines, saying these smart-ass remarks to Leia and whoever else is around. There's a part at the start of the book where Ben, so he's in this like room by himself, wakes up, Ben's crying, goes to help him, and it's like fumbling Han's just like trying to deal with a baby, and he's like, oh, what the fuck this thing wants? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, shut up, child.
Did you just say fumbling Hans?
Fumbling child? I don't know. Like fumbling the lines, I think. I don't know. And there's this robot in there who keeps trying to help out. It's like, do you need anything, sir? Do you need me to help with the baby or anything like that? And Hans, of course, just like, can you fucking... Well, he doesn't say fuck. He's like, can you just shut up and like leave me alone? And then Leia charges in and she's like, what are you doing, Han? What's wrong, Ben? What did Han do to you, poor child? He's like, I didn't do anything. Like, he was just crying. Like, it's very, like, the scenes are very... You could see them playing out between the characters like it was something out of a movie. So I think it's worth... I'd recommend it as a Star Wars book to read. Ash, did you find the author's name for me, or do I need to reach over?
Daniel Jose Alder.
Thank you.
That name's not hard at all.
I don't know. I wasn't.
Well, the
100%
E's
sure.
got the little apostrophe thing over it.
So it should be said, Jose.
Nope.
Maybe, but we're not racist here.
Well, we're not.
Some of us are racist here.
No! I'm just, moving on.
Anyone got any interest in picking up that book?
I think I'll pick it up based on how I feel towards the movie. I think if I really enjoy the movie, I'll go pick the book up. If the movie doesn't hype me up, then I probably won't.
You said you love Han in episode 1, though.
I do love Han, but I buy too many books with the intention of reading them. So I generally need
Maybe if you bought them physically, you'd read them.
No, it's more just I need a motivational factor. Like, playing The Witcher 3 has motivated me to read the Witcher book. So I've already 1.5 ways through I've already finished the first book and onto the second book of The Witcher. So if
there was Overwatch books, how many Overwatch books would you read?
Oh my god.
Hey, follow-up question from last season of Alderaan Explosion. How many Star Wars books have you read since then?
I've started 3.
Which 3 did you start?
I started the short stories.
Yeah.
I started the Phasma one.
Yeah.
And I started Catalyst.
Okay.
Those are my 3 I started.
Which one was you enjoying the most?
I was really enjoying the short stories. I was really enjoying like the different characters and how it all
because
works.
at worst, if you're like, I'm not enjoying this one, you're 2 pages away from the finish most of the time. So
yeah, okay.
it's like by the time you get a couple pages in and you kind of you're like, I'm not really enjoying this short story, and you like see how far it's got to go, and you're like, oh, it's only like another page or 2,
Yes.
and then I'm onto a new short story written by a different author. So
yeah.
The worst of it that you may not enjoy doesn't suck because
I enjoyed
not
like
long to get
I think
through.
my favorite of the short stories or like the main one I remember, there was the short story about the stormtrooper that met Leia and just kind of questioned his whole existence through that meeting, and then kind of was just like, I don't want to be a stormtrooper anymore. This is not a thing. It's
pretty good book.
That's a cool story.
Would you want to read it, Ash? Any of these books? You picked it up and looked at it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
If I had motivation as well.
Fair enough.
I've got so much
Straight up
stuff that
admit.
I've got that I haven't read yet.
Yeah, so do I, but
Yeah.
Star Wars books take priority over anything else, basically. All right, let's jump in to Solo, a Star Wars story movie history. So I kind of want to go through the dot points of how we got from the initial idea of this movie to it now showing up on cinema screens. When do you think this movie was initially talked about?
I don't know. After episode 7?
Maybe like 2013? Yeah, 2013.
A Han Solo spin-off movie was already in the works, and by in the works, I mean being discussed.
With the originals, wasn't it? Now that I
with
think
George
about it.
Lucas before Disney brought it.
Yes.
So
Okay,
this is one of the most important factors I like to shove in the Disney hating people's faces, because they all scream at everyone in Twitters and such about, oh, Disney, like, why'd you have to give us a Han Solo movie? Like, no one wanted this, blah blah blah, but all that sort of trash. And you just have to point out, hey, George Lucas was actually working on this a long, long time ago. So George Lucas had started developing a film about young Solo, and had actually hired Lawrence Kasdan to come on and write the script, who co-wrote this one with the one we've got now with his son. But then when Force Awakens and the whole deal happened and they start working on that, Kasdan left to help work on the Force Awakens script at that point, of course. And he left, the kind of goes that he left his son to finish writing up the script. So work on this movie was started pre-Disney is basically the important point. And everyone likes to go, oh, George Lucas wouldn't have wanted this movie. Those sorts of lines. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Basically, around the time Disney brought it, George was firing up to basically come out of Star Wars sleep, I guess. I mean, there was the Clone Wars, but you had the Underworld TV series coming that he was working on trying to get this Han Solo spin-off movie. You know, like, stuff was going to happen either way without Disney buying it. It's like Disney bought it, we brought it, we got episode 7. What's happening now? But even without that, you probably would have got this movie. It wouldn't have been the same as it is now, undoubtedly, but either way, you're getting a Han Solo movie. So then, no one had heard about it at this point. In 2013, Bob Iger confirmed the development of 2 Star Wars standalone movies. One was going to be written by Kasdan, and one was going to be written by Simon Kinberg at the time. The Kinberg one has since that one fucked off to nowhere. That was the rumored Boba Fett one. This was the one that Josh Trank was attached to at one stage.
I remember that. Yep.
And then Josh Trank went on Twitter and wherever and said everyone in Hollywood fucking sucks and whatever else he said. And I haven't seen him around lately, oddly. Like, didn't work out so well for him, did it?
He's the one who did Fantastic Four, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Remember that guy? That was the one. So shortly after that, Disney was so it was rumored Solo plus Boba Fett, which I suppose makes sense if they were taking maybe some of the Underworld scripts and kind of reworking them into a Boba Fett film, I guess, is the way you could kind of think about it.
I don't understand why. But as always, Boba Fett sucks. Carry on.
Yeah, I don't like Boba Fett at all. Absolutely nothing to that character.
No, I don't know
That's
why
why he
people
needs a
love him so
movie.
much.
Looks cool.
He looks
Does
cool,
nothing.
but like didn't he have like a Wilhelm scream when he freaking died?
No, that was
Somebody else.
That was another character.
his dad.
Yeah.
Which I meant to blank on the name of.
Oh, Django.
Django.
Yep. That's
We
right.
got his head chopped off by Samuel L. Jackson.
That's right.
Episode 2. Boba Fett's the one that people like, not Django. Don't confuse prequel characters with real Star Wars characters. People will be like, "You a fucking real fan? I'll kill you." Boba Fett wouldn't have got an origin story though, because they cover his origins in the Clone Wars TV series.
Yes.
You get to see him as a young kid. You get to see where he goes to. You get to see him team up with a bunch of bounty hunters. Then eventually you see him kind of getting into his world as a bounty hunter. So that is his origin story as far as I'm concerned. So did I need a movie covering his teenage years? No, not really. I don't really care. So after this, and this is at the time when they weren't called Star Wars stories either. They were called, I can't remember, Star Wars something rather, anthology series.
Yes.
At the time.
Yep.
There was the whole switch around. Originally it was like Star Wars anthology stories, and then eventually they made the switch to a Star Wars story when they released one of the Rogue One trailers at some stage. They just changed it.
Which I like. I prefer it.
Yeah. That was announced in 2015. They announced that they was calling him Star Wars Anthology Series. That didn't last long, as we're saying now. Then they got to work on the Han Solo project, finishing up the script, getting people on board in around 2015. And they're still working on the Josh Trank movie at this point. It is interesting how so many of these movies fucking
Just bomb. Just
drop
like,
off.
no, all right, that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was announced the filming would begin in January 2017, and at this point they still hadn't got a director yet. blah, 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 blah. So they get onto filming. They hire the
Lord and Miller.
Lord and Miller. Yes, thank you. I was like, it's written down here somewhere and I'm mental blanking. The Lego guys, or what else did they do? 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
22 Jump Street. They hire these people to do this movie. Which, at the time, my initial reaction was, sure, like, Han Solo's... the movie will surely be somewhat funny. Like, Han Solo isn't a per se funny character, but he he says stuff that you laugh at. So maybe these directors could fit the tone, I guess. And they can shoot action movies, like 21 Jump Street's an action movie / comedy. It's like, so I could see him toning it down. Yeah, I didn't really have a huge problem with them as directors. What did you think with those two originally being the directors of this film?
Thought it was an interesting choice. I mean, they've come off successful properties, so it's hard to go, oh, that's a terrible idea. But
it's interesting because I don't think the style of movie that they'd been previously known for, I don't think I would have liked that as a Star Wars movie, unless they were going to completely change it up a bit. Like, you know, the 21, 22 Jump Streets, the storyline for those movies is more just a mechanism or a vehicle to get to the funny bits, and I wouldn't want that as part of a Solo or a Han Solo story or a movie.
Yeah, in my mind it was like, oh, they'll have to tone it down a bit. They're working for a big movie entity now that is Lucasfilm, part of the Star Wars franchise. They'll have to kind of put the reins on a bit to buckle down and do this project. But in my mind, if that was me, it would be, oh yeah, I'll do it just because it's Star Wars, you know, like I want my name to be attached to a Star Wars movie. So I'll try my best to work our style into whatever Kathleen Kennedy wants us to do at Lucasfilm. We know that doesn't work out, but so then if getting them on board, then all these rumors started happening that there was problems on set, that the people were having trouble with the directors. Lucasfilm was having trouble with the directors. And then we got a piece of news that was Lucasfilm hired an acting coach for Alden Ehrenreich because they weren't happy with his performance as Han Solo. Mm-hmm. Which, of course, is like, oh, God, they're hiring an acting coach for the guy playing the lead, Han Solo.
Why would you release that news?
I don't know why they would release that information. Even if they tried to just, you know, where was the PR person?
Well, I don't know if they released it. I mean, this shit just leaks. Like,
where was the PR person for them to shape that into more, we're hiring somebody to work with him to get more of, you know, Harrison Ford's mannerisms and stuff? Or
I mean, it probably was worded something like that, but it comes down to hiring an acting coach.
But I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think that's a terrible thing. It sounds bad, but
I don't think it's a terrible thing either. No. I agree.
It's, you know,
but it comes off bad.
They're not as a company, they can be like, some people can be like, nah, we've made this decision to put our faith in this star. We're not going to look like idiots by going back on this. We're just going to put it in whatever performance they give. And then some performances you're like, this is horrible. But I think it shows that Disney and Lucasfilms care enough about the character of Han Solo and how he's portrayed on the screen to make sure it's done the right way, which I think that's good, and that gives me a lot of faith in what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's easy to judge the troubled parts this movie's had and take it all as a bad thing, but to me it just kind of proves that Disney's willing to, or Lucasfilm, however you want to look at it, is willing to kind of lose money. Like all the money they spent filming with certain actors and whatever else, and then they had to shovel so much money back in to do reshoots and stuff. That's just them trying to get the movie to be great, you know? Like, they don't want to put out a shitty product.
You know, it shows, because if people are, you know, people go that Disney's terrible, they're doing what they want to with Star Wars because they want some money, they want the money out of it. If that was the truth, they would have just let Solo go out as a completed movie without doing any polishing, without, you know, taking these steps to do reshoots and stuff, when, you know, they could just put it out there. I think with or without it, it's still going to make a decent amount of money. Even if they just put it out there, people are going to go see it because it's a Star Wars
It's movie. Already tracking higher than Black Panther.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't... There's... if they were only caring about money, they would just shoot it, be like, yep, what we've got is fine, put it out there. Afterwards, it would be like people would probably be crapping on it and it would have a bad reputation, but they would have had the money out of it, so who cares? But I don't think that is Disney.
No, because they're thinking long term. Got to have good product, so they'll come to the next product.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like...
And also because it's good to have good stuff.
Yeah.
That helps.
So then on June 20th, 2017, citing creative differences, Lucasfilm announced that Lord and Miller will be parting ways, and a new director was going to be announced shortly. So it was they didn't officially say what the dealio was officially. The official statement is creative differences. The rumors or whatever you want to read from behind the scenes is that they were butting heads with both Kathleen Kennedy, head of Lucasfilm, of course, and Kasdan on set. And they were Kasdan, sorry. I always say Kasdan. I put an extra A in there. It's ridiculous.
It's because of League of Legends.
It could be, yeah.
It is because there's a character called Kasdan in League of Legends.
So they said that those two were apparently disagreeing with their shooting style, and anytime they were asked to kind of do it differently, they were just not happy with it. Lord and Miller thought they were hired to make a comedy film, and they were trying to shoot a comedy movie, when Lucasfilm apparently hired them, as I thought when they were hired, to put a comedic touch or swing on the movie, and they went in to make a full-on comedy.
I don't know. I think that's what that's just. I think that's them trying to cover for the fact that Disney or Lucasfilm just didn't like the material they were putting out. From their perspective, we thought they wanted a comedy movie, but why would they? I don't know.
I don't know. There was also apparently they were filming. Apparently they were filming a lot of improv scenes, or like asking the actors to do improv scenes, which was upsetting Kasdan, because he was getting upset that the scenes weren't being shot, script for script, how it's written. And apparently they would be like, okay, they'll shoot one take at that just to keep him happy or whatever, and then be like, all right, let's shoot like 10 improv scenes. Everyone go crazy. Let's make it a comedy, like everyone funny jokes.
That's not. You need that script. You need that guideline to maintain the voice of the characters that the audience.
What you do for
knows.
movies like this, I feel, yeah, especially when you're working with a character like Han Solo.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you need the script to keep it in character. The improv stuff works for your Seth Rogen comedies and whatever else.
Like for those comedies
Seth Rogen playing Seth Rogen.
Yeah, when it's comedies that aren't, they're not beloved characters, where honestly, probably the characters, the location, the story even as a whole doesn't really matter. Where in those movies, it doesn't really matter. People just go because they want to laugh and they're funny, or they try to be funny. But that's not what a Star Wars film should be. Unless they're doing, go run like a theatre show about that, where you do some random improv each night about random crap, but not a Star Wars, like not a movie, please. That sounds terrible.
I don't know. It just depends on the scene, I guess. If it's like a joke, then you could do it a bunch of different ways. I mean,
but it's like Han Solo, in everyone's mind, says stuff a certain way.
Yeah, you have an idea of that's Han Solo. You don't want to. We don't.
That's why you do it by the script first. Then you give them room to do improv.
But you don't want to. The worst thing you want to do for the actor that's playing Han is for the audience to sit down and be like, "That's not Han Solo. That's some other character in Han's clothing." You don't want that. What you want for this movie to be successful is you want people in the cinemas to sit down and be like, that is Han Solo. That is the character we know and we love. That's the heart of it. Or, audiences are going to come out, they're going to blame the actor. They'll full on just blame the actor. Oh, you didn't play Han properly. You're worst Han. You've ruined Han. Which is probably going to happen
still do that anyway. Yeah,
they're going to do it anyway.
That is guaranteed that happens.
They're going to do it anyway. But
I could come out and go 10 out of 10 best Star Wars movie and look on Twitter and see someone going, they ruined Star Wars.
Yeah. But I think as a whole, it would be more if he didn't have, a lot of Han stuff is, very witty, very dry kind of humor, and I don't think that humor always works well in kind of a improv setting. I guess I think if they're well written and properly rehearsed and stuff, it comes off a lot better.
Yeah. So Kasdan was apparently brought on to the London set also. And Lord and Miller got upset because they thought he was basically shadow directing the movie or like interrupting too much to say, no, like you should be doing it this way. No, you should be blah, 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 blah. Whether he was brought onto the set by Lucasfilm is kind of like to make himself feel better. Maybe he was upset. Maybe he was worried about it. Like he has an attachment to the character, I feel like, after writing, especially episode 5. So, but they got upset about that, which I can agree to a certain point. But so you hear a lot, most of the time with movies, writers aren't on set for most of the time, depending on what the movie is, I guess. But most projects, writers aren't on set, especially if the script's just being brought up and it's sold to some studio. The writer isn't on set. For something like this or a Marvel property or something that's maybe adapted from a book where the author's heavily influential and important to it, like J.K. Rowling being on the Harry Potter sets or stuff like that. It kind of depends project by project. I feel like in this case, him being on set is okay, but I can understand if
I can understand why they don't, but I think it's necessary to have that resource to go over and ask a question of the setting or of the scenery or of anything like that. Go, hey, does this fit? Does this work? Or has something like this been in Star Wars before? Or will this be able to fit into the universe? I think you need that kind of, for these kind of things where they're beloved properties that people have a built up understanding of the universes and of the galaxies. So yeah, I think for this movie or for Star Wars movies in general, they need somebody like that on set.
Do you reckon they had someone like that telling Rian Johnson what to do?
I think they had somebody available there to do it.
Okay.
There was probably somebody else with a different style, like a different style from Kasdan. Kasdan might have, there is that part of it where Kasdan might have just been a bit more like, oh, it's my baby, I don't want it to be ruined. He might have been strongly connected, but I don't think he was put there to feel that way by Lucas. I think he was put there to Lucas to say, here's the writer so you guys can ask questions and work with him to make the best movie possible.
I feel like Kathleen Kennedy's was probably on set a lot more and heavily involved with the numbered movies than these story ones. Also,
yeah, I
guess. Just because I suppose it makes sense. That's like the flagship movie. But I mean, if you the way she came out and talked about Rian Johnson at Star Wars Celebration when he was announced as director, it was like she was introducing the person, like someone she really. It was really weird. The way she talked about him when she introduced him, she was like, "This is like the new Spielberg. Like I love the way he works." Like I honestly feel like maybe she even just trusted him more. Like she had a real respect, and you could feel it when she introduced him and talked about him. It was just like Rian Johnson is a guy. He's great. He's writing and directing episode 8. I have complete faith in him. He's like the new Spielberg. Let's fucking go. So judging off that, I feel like maybe she had more faith also. So all this happened, of course, then I take it off, and then I remember sitting in just checking Twitter every morning after this happening, going, "Who's the new director? Who's the new director? Who do you reckon is going to?" Just like refreshing every morning, like knowing one day soon they'll have to announce it. It's not going to take like a week or 2 weeks. It's going to happen soon.
They're in the middle of production.
They need to get the ball back rolling. You can't take ages. So the rumor is that apparently George Lucas, said, "Hey, you should get Ron Howard to do it. Who's my friend." Because everyone acts like George never shows up to or is involved in Star Wars anymore.
Yeah, that
he's not involved.
He's just wiped his hands clean of it. Yeah,
he shows up to sets for stuff. He pops in, takes a look at the movies and whatever else. He's not officially involved in stuff, but he's still friends with all these people. He would still talk to Kathleen Kennedy a lot. Like she came up from George and Spielberg, that's how she got to where she was. So she would still talk to him all the time. So you can just imagine her being on the phone like, George, like, we had to fire them. This is what happened. You can just imagine him being like, oh, you get Ron Howard. He's a good friend of mine. Get Ron Howard.
He's the
Da Vinci
director
Code.
you're looking for.
Yeah, director Da Vinci Code is really good. Apparently, Joe Johnston and Kasdan both wanted to direct it, but under the Directors Guild of America rules, you cannot replace a director with someone who was already involved in the production. So
That's
even if
fair.
Kasdan wanted to direct it, it's like you can't push someone out. Yeah, there's a code or whatever,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
legality to
Wait,
it.
Joe Johnston. Was he?
Yeah, he was like producing it or something, I think, maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that it's just one of those interesting rules to kind of to stop someone in the writer's seat or the producer's seat getting pissed off with the director and like
Taking
sabotaging him some way to try and get their
Yeah,
way to
to get
the
position
seat, I
himself.
guess. Yeah. So 2 days later, after they announced they dropped them, new directors announced Ron Howard would be taking over directing. And he had 3.5 more weeks of scheduled principal photography to go through, which he did. And then after that, he did a scheduled 5 weeks of reshoots. So he's done 5 weeks of reshoots and 3.5 weeks of actual, like, the normal photography thing. So the majority of his stuff is all reshoots. A lot of this, I don't know how much of it, but some of it you can go, well, it just comes down to the fact that Michael K. Williams, of course, couldn't reprise his role. We talked about that in episode 1. He was off shooting Red Sea Diving Resort. So they hired in Paul Bettany to come in and do the new villain. So, of course, he reshot all those scenes. You can't imagine all the scenes you had to reshoot, but that is a lot of time just put straight to reshoots. How's that make you feel?
I think good. As long as there was no, mustaches or CGI top lips involved, I think we've got, they're doing the right thing. They're going through it and making the changes. As we said, a movie, like a studio giving them being like, it's okay, take the time you need to make this the best possible movie that you can, I think is perfect. I think it's often very weird, as we've seen in recent movies, Justice League being one of them, when you can see when another director has come in and changed X's.
It's very noticeable in that movie.
It's very noticeable when different directors have come in. Like, I think it was Snyder and Whedon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
When the two switch scenes, like the one after the other, they're both shot rather differently. They're both got a different kind of atmosphere to them. And it changes the movie. So I think it's good for another director to come in to then to shoot what he needs to for the rest of the movie, and then reshoot the rest of it or the bits he needs to make it feel like a total package. To make it feel like
if you want to judge off this, it makes it seem like he's basically just reshot everything.
yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a bit different because Joss Whedon's a bit stylistically different to Zack Snyder. So
Yeah.
That was a bit different. Nothing about Ron Howard's work makes me, I think, stylish at all. So I imagine most of the action scenes are probably still left from when Lord and Miller were directing, though, because those were probably like planned out ages
A
ago.
whole bunch of CGI anyway.
CGI and like
Yeah.
barely any acting. So I imagine it's mostly just like the acting scenes.
Yeah.
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 I don't dislike Ron Howard as a director. Nothing he's done super excites me. I
Rush
feel
is
like
good.
Ron Howard's the paint by numbers director, which
Yeah.
is kind of what they wanted to come in to help clean up the mess, I guess. Like they're having trouble with these two directors not doing what they want, not sticking to the script, and Ron Howard is the guy to come
He's
in.
a team player.
He's a team player. He's the guy to come in. I think, like, judging off his work, and from all accounts of what I've read about him and seen in the interviews and people talk about him, he's good with working with actors because he grew up as a young actor.
Yep.
So he can work with actors. He can explain to them what they want well, blah, blah, blah. Do I think he has like an A factor to his movies or his directing style? No, not really. But he does have a skill that is working with actors to get what they need. And if you're talking about them struggling with Alden Ehrenreich in this movie, and maybe because he was struggling with the role, maybe some of that was to do with not having a good enough director to lead him through the lines, Like they had to bring in an acting coach. Maybe a better director is really what was needed. Someone to help the actor get where they needed to be with the character. And I feel like Ron Howard could do that a lot better than Lord Miller. Just more experienced, pays off. So interesting tidbit was that George Lucas came onto set to visit Ron Howard one day.
Because they're friends.
And I mean, George has visited the set of other Star Wars movies at this point. It's not really a big deal. Every time it happens, they're like, George Lucas visited the set. And it's like a big headline in the story. And every time I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's visited the set of every Star Wars movie so far. 7, 8, and Rogue One. I feel like. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he visited the set of all of them. At least for an hour or so. Just
Probably
to be like,
also 1 to 6 as well.
Yeah, that's something special, isn't it? So apparently he was supposed to show up for a short visit. He ended up staying the entire day of the shooting, so the story goes. And the story Ron Howard has told in interviews is they were filming a scene. Ron Howard was struggling with it. It was like, no, try it this way. Like, he wasn't feeling it. He was like, just couldn't get it right, apparently. And then George was apparently just standing there sipping a coffee and was like, well, why doesn't Han Solo just do this? That's what Han would do. And then Ron was like, oh, yeah, okay, well, just try what George said. And then they filmed the scene, and that's the take that ended up in the movie. So it's just one of those stories where, like, there's a scene in the movie. We don't know which exact one, but there's a moment that has George Lucas's
touch on it.
Touch of direction on Han Solo again, which is nice to know, I feel like. That's a nice little thing for this movie to have. A little feel-good story for you. So on October 17th, it was announced that principal photography had been completed. Then they revealed the title. Did everyone watch this fucking Twitter video when it came out? Where they he had the fucking title card. It was like a black card Ron Howard on the Twitter video, and he's like, "We're gonna reveal the title. What is it? Solo, a Star Wars story." And everyone's kind of like, "It's fucking what we've been calling it." Like, but everyone had either been calling it Solo or Han Solo, a Star Wars story, and he's like, "It's called Solo." Blew your fucking mind. That's crazy. It's insane. So what did we all think of the title? We talked about it briefly last week.
I don't like it.
It's not great.
It's not great.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like people just saying Solo, especially here in Australia where there's a soft drink called Solo.
Yeah, I know. There's the soft drink, and then there was a video game I played last week. It's all becoming, or 2 weeks ago, it's all becoming rather weird. Too many solos happening,
Yep.
I would have just preferred Han Solo, personally.
Yeah.
Han Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
Just because of the drink situation. If anything.
Definitely.
Then in a wrap up to the Lord and Miller story, in March it was announced that Lord and Miller will receive executive producer credits on the film. So their work didn't go.
Obviously there's still parts of it there, so obviously that that's a good move. It's a class move by Lucasfilm and Disney.
Yeah,
good
I feel like it's a classy move to wrap it up on. And then post-production was wrapped April 22nd. They've been pumping out trailers since, and we're about 7 days off watching Solo.
How many trailers have there been now? 3?
Teaser, then 2 trailers, I guess, and then a bunch of TV spots and whatever else. The behind-the-scenes thing we watched in the first episode, bunch of stuff.
Feels like a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's always a lot. I mean, there's always 30 to a million TV spots that I try not to watch because I feel like you watch too many TV spots, you give away the whole movie. Any notes or anything to go over that interesting from the production and the history of the Solo movie?
I think we've covered it really well.
Ash?
Yeah, I think you covered it. Of course, it's just a major concern. I think can't think of any movie that's had a director leave halfway through the film that's turned out great.
Yeah.
Back to the Future.
Boom.
Zemeckis didn't leave though.
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, they replaced the main part and reshot a bunch of it.
Boom.
Yeah.
They replaced the main actor and reshot basically all the film.
Boom.
Okay,
Yeah?
I'll give you that, but
Okay.
I mean, my point still stands. The director's never been replaced, and it's midway through.
Yeah,
production.
I can't think of anything that's off my head. I'm getting more excited for it. I wasn't very excited leading up to it, but we'll talk about that more in a little bit. Next question. if you could write a solo Star Wars origin story, what would it be about?
Han Solo.
When you
No,
say
but what
no, when you say a solo star, are we talking about we pick a character when we write about it?
What would
An
would,
individual
off the top of your
Star
head,
Wars story.
be his movie about? See, for mine, it would be like Underworld series. I would want Han Solo origin story to be heavily involved in him going deep into like the Star Wars. Like this movie obviously is going to have shady characters in it, but I mean like mostly set on Coruscant or something, like him dealing with a lot of the underworld, real gritty kind of dark movie, dealing with a lot of shady characters, basically all set on one planet, very thriller-esque kind of solo movie. And then he would bump into a bunch of bounty hunters from the movies and the animated series as cool Easter eggs. That's what my dream Han Solo origin movie would be.
I don't know if I'd want it to be an origin movie, but like,
No Chewbacca.
but Han Solo, but similar to Die Hard.
Yeah?
Like that kind of, I don't know. I'd like that piece where there's a lot of focus on Han as a character, maybe his growth in the situation. It could be in a situation in Coruscant that he somehow got himself wrapped into without really wanting to, and then working through that. I think that Han character fits really well with that. He's always, that kind of character that is just kind of in the right place at the wrong time for him. Like, he doesn't want to be there. He just ends up there. So I'd like that kind of take on that character and see how he gets himself out of situations and how he works through everything.
I like it. I'd buy that for a cinema ticket.
Yep.
Ash?
Some sort of romantic comedy.
Oh my God.
Fucking hell, Ashley.
How do you know that's not what this is?
You've had a
Yeah.
fantastic week.
Him and Kira, or whatever her name
Yeah.
is. I still don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll find out it's something completely different.
Yep.
Who do you think deserves the solo, and by solo I mean solo character, movie next?
Boba Fett.
Oh my fucking.
Let's posthumously make his popularity justified. Yeah.
No.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Who do you reckon, Ciaran?
Well, there's the obvious one, and the obvious one is Obi-Wan. I don't know what the story you would tell in Obi-Wan's life, because I think we've already seen a big enough chunk. Maybe even like it could be interesting, even though you can't get the kid to play it because that kid's not a kid anymore. But even the period of time between Phantom and Clone Wars could be kind of cool, and Anakin growing up. But we've already seen that.
You can recast.
We can recast. Well, if we're going to recast, okay. No, let's go with the one I'd actually want to see. Even though it'd be hard for me to see another character in the role, I'd like a Qui-Gon movie.
Yeah.
I'd like Qui-Gon Jinn, even though it's Liam Neeson.
I still think he could do it with Liam Neeson. I don't think you need to heavily de-age him to do that movie.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to do I'd like a Qui-Gon movie.
I'd buy that for a cinema ticket.
Yeah.
My pick's Obi-Wan. It has to be Obi-Wan. I need Ewan McGregor in that role. I need more of it. It's the best part of the prequels by far. And he's... I just need more. And if you're like, oh, what would you do? They have proved recently between having him show up in the episode of Rebels and then also having him be in... they've done comics where he's just on Tatooine. They show that stuff's happening. Like, he's dealing with shit. He's still having to do stuff.
Would that be the period of time? Would it be after, post the prequels, post the prequels and before New Hope you would do?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Like a couple of years after episode 3.
Cool.
I reckon. Like 5 years after episode 3.
I would also purchase a ticket to that. Hell yeah.
You can make it like a... It wouldn't be heavily action orientated, I don't feel like. But there's lots of shit happening on that planet. You could deal with Jabba. I don't know. Like there's always the huts there. Whatever else is going on.
There
Just
had
like
to be
the
a
inner
point
workings
where,
of him going insane. Like lonely. That sort of stuff.
There had to be a point where Obi went on some wacky holiday.
Nah.
No, I don't like the idea of making him leave that planet ever. Like, I don't feel
Oh,
like
really?
he can.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's a man of missions.
yeah. But I mean, up until a stage, you were kind of like, oh, he hasn't used his lightsaber for like 18 years or whatever after episode 3 up until he uses in episode 4. But they've retracted that. They've had him use his lightsaber in stuff like in Rebels. He fucking spoilers for Rebels.
Fucked up Darth Maul.
He fucked up Darth Maul, who comes to Tatooine to look for him. So, I mean, they're not afraid to be like, look, he's used his lightsaber. He's not like completely abandoned everything, But I feel like you take him off the planet, that's crossing the line of what you can play with there. But have someone come down, look for him. I don't know. Anything like that I'm down for. I feel like you can play with it a little bit, but this is something for a bunch of people to sit in a writer's room and whack out and think about over many weeks of time. Not just 5 minutes on a podcast.
Whack out an Obi-Wan movie. just whack one out while you're at it.
But mainly I just want Ewan McGregor back in that role.
Yeah, I think
feel
he's
like
fantastic, so I'd be all for it.
it was so good in the prequels, and sticking him in a really good movie where he just gets to be the star in that role again would be great to see. Now, Ash, do you have another one to give me, like an actual fucking one?
How about a Yoda movie set after episode 3?
No.
He gets on a planet. He's just alone.
Actually,
It's an art house film. He slowly degenerates into the kooky character we see in episode 4.
it's an art house film, really?
Yeah. Just long shots of him walking around,
Today it is.
eating some sort of food source.
What is this inside my window?
And then the movie
Condensation.
ends with a X-Wing crashing into the swamp.
So the movie spans a very long
Very
amount
long
of
time.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Now, Ashley, have you got a real one to give?
Yeah, Ash, you have a real one to give me.
I feel like Ash is taking the role of Nick this week. Not shitting on it, but just, spanner in the works.
Not loving it.
A General Hux movie.
Oh, fucking it.
Fuck.
Poe Dameron origin story. There you go.
It's in the comics. All right, moving on.
Mace Windu.
All right, let's wrap up things on the solo Star Wars story movie. What things have you most excited going into the movie now that we're so close to it coming out? And what things have you still most worried? And now talking about it over 2 episodes of the podcast, have your feelings changed on any of those factors a little bit since recording 2 episodes?
I feel good, but at the same time, in the last couple of days, I've been a little bit worried in places. I feel good overall talking about it and really going through it and going over stuff and understanding what the movie is going to be better gives a better understanding what I'm going into. At the same time, there's things like Disney came out and confirmed that they never had intentions to make this a trilogy, or like currently they don't have an intention to make this a trilogy. There was that little bit of news you found the other day when you were in Target, I think you said, or Kmart, about the you said about
Kessel Run is written on the Lego.
Yeah.
So that's confirmed.
The Kessel Run Lego. So when we discussed
There goes
last
my
week,
prediction.
and we were like, the Kessel Run, is it going to happen in this, in this movie? Looks like yes. So that worries me with my point I mentioned last week about them trying to stuff too much of the Han moments we know of into the same movie and not stretching it out. So I'm a little worried that it's going to be a bit jam-packed with stuff and overfilled, but we'll see how we go. But other than that, I'm pretty excited for the movie.
Ash?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's been fun talking about it. I know more than I did 2 weeks ago. Thanks,
Just by
Dylan.
osmosis, just by sitting in a hangouts with Dylan for an hour and a bit.
Let him
Just kinda
talk and then...
Yeah.
That's the aim of this podcast, you know? I want people to get more excited for the Star Wars movie. That's the aim. As I said, I'm definitely more excited. I feel like any Star Wars movie, I just get more excited the closer it gets anyway, so by just to count. But I was down on this movie from the start. I was very much on the Han Solo movie. I don't want a fucking Han Solo movie. I just, especially as we talked about, I didn't really like Han Solo as a character. I mean, he's fine, but I'm like, of all the fucking characters, he can't be that interesting. But the more I've seen about it, the more I've read about it, that behind the scenes thing, I really like the way they talk about him and all that sort of stuff has got me a bit more excited. Seeing Lando got me way more excited to see the movie.
Yep.
And
the amount of Donald Glover that you've seen recently
is amazing. I can't get enough of the man. And I love capes also. I
need to interrupt you. I'm disappointed in you, community. I'm disappointed that poll came up as yes, Dylan needs to wear a cape. No. No.
I mean,
no.
You just have to do everything Donald Glover does. So capes, they're in.
I need... Also, when I watch the trailers, I really love the look of this movie. I think that was another thing that got me really excited. The colors, the way it's being shot, the cowboy-esque kind of standoff shots we see, all that sort of stuff has me a lot more excited for it because it doesn't look like an episodic movie, which excites me. I don't want it to look like an episodic movie. I want it to look different. All right. And to wrap up the show, we're going to drop some predictions. I don't know. This is a hard one because it's not like an episodic movie. The predictions you can't just throw out like, well, Snoke will do this, or Rey will be. There's not that much sort of stuff. So I'll be interested to see what you can throw at me. I will start first, and then we'll go along from me. 3 predictions about the Solo Star Wars movie. My first one is that Boba Fett cameos alongside Jabba the Hutt. Makes sense to me. Feels like the movie to fit it in.
Then they can do the Boba Fett spin-off movie.
Oh my god. And if we don't see Boba Fett, I will be highly surprised if we don't see Jabba. I feel like Jabba has to, just to set up that relationship that him and Jabba have. Because when we see them in episode 4, you can tell it's this long relationship they've had at that point. He's been doing a bunch of work for Jabba. So setting him up to work with Jabba from such a young age, I feel like is a good move, and it's a decent cameo.
Setting up the Jabba the Hutt gangster movie.
I'd watch that actually.
Yeah.
Ash, what do you got for me?
Kira, or whatever her name is going to be the one who portrays Han.
Oh my god, you're always in with the worst, like the evilest predictions. You always come in with the hurtful ones.
Someone's going to betray him, and it makes sense that it's the person closest to him.
It was hurting my feelings. All right, sure. It's okay.
Then it's not his mentor. Then Woody Harrelson.
It's not his mentor. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I won't see it coming. Yeah, okay. Ciaran, what do you got?
0 main good character deaths, so nobody's gonna die. Not any of like the
you sure Han and Chewie are gonna live through this movie?
I'm not talking about them ones, you fucks, but nobody from like the main group of heisters, mobsters, Woody Harrelson's gang. None of them are gonna die.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like that's a safe one.
Yeah, buddy.
My second one is that Sansa Starro is hinted at. So talked about or seen somewhere, or has some sort of inclusion in this movie. They got a hint at that comic book wife character. Everyone loves her in the comics now, but that's someone people want to see in this movie or see hinted at. Just add it in, hint at her, something along those. One quick scene, have her in the background. Fuck, I don't know, something along those lines. Ash,
cool. The train sequence where Chewie's hanging off the train and then he's about to hit a cliff, that's the moment Han saves his life. He gets the life debt.
Yeah. You reckon?
Yep.
You don't reckon that Han just saves him out of like slavery and that's the life debt?
No.
Like, no, of course not, Dylan. No. Don't be ridiculous.
They're not going to have slavery in this movie.
Why not?
It's just too on the nose at the moment.
I feel like slavery's been around for a very long time, and no one likes it.
Yeah, so they're not going to show it.
That we're slaves. Ciaran, what do you got for me?
In the opening section when Han is part of like joining up with the Empire, there'll either be a cameo from the Emperor or Darth Vader.
Really? That is a ballsy one.
Yeah, yep. That'll be Emperor or Darth Vader as part of that stuff.
Where though? Where do you reckon? Like,
I reckon.
how do they see him? Like Vader's walking past? You reckon?
I think like even like it'll be like a big crowd section, or when they're preparing for that battle scene we see. Maybe like there's even if it's just like a hologram or some shit of him or of the Emperor like talking to them or something. I think that'll be in there.
I would buy the Emperor hologram thing a lot more if I didn't already get let down, because I think that was one of my predictions for Rogue One. I was like, we will at some stage see the Emperor in a hologram, because I thought that was an easy buy-in for that movie. Easy pick. Nope. Not even once.
I think more of a chance of Thorn. They've already got the CG.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the hologram Emperor thing. Makes sense because that's from what we know in extended universe material. That's the only way people see him. It's like hologram. So, and it's the kind of thing that he just throws around as propaganda on TVs. You know, I'm your grateful empire, blah blah. So that would make sense if we see it. That would be cool to see. No way we see Vader. No way in hell.
Okay.
No.
Like Vader's
I'd
not
be
just
happy if
walking
they
down a
keep Vader
corridor.
away. I'd be happy if
Yeah.
they keep him away, but I think there's a chance.
I definitely don't want the whole, because if they put Vader in this, even in a like for 1 second, it's okay. So Vader cameos in every Star Wars story movie. Like, is that the thing now? That's the running thing. But I like the Emperor one. That makes sense.
Yep.
My last one is that Jedi relics will be shown to be collected by someone at some point in this movie or scene. Either if that's not the main bad guy, it's going to be some other villain of some sort. You know, even if he doesn't talk about him in the background, you'll see a bunch of lightsabers or some shit. This is only because they like in the extended universe material setting up all these villains that collect Jedi artifacts just because they're cool and lightsabers and whatever else. And it's also just a cool Easter eggy type thing to throw in, I guess, to have in the background. It's like Han doesn't believe in the Jedi, but you can have like these laser swords. And he's like, oh, these are fucking, what are they? Oh, they light up. All right, cool. Whatever. Bunch of mystical. Oh, collect them. They're from the Jedi. Who the fuck are they? Oh, they were what mumbo jumbo. You know, like some kind of shit like that.
Yep.
Ash, what is your last one?
C-3PO and R2-G2 won't be in this movie.
I hope you're right.
I hope you're right as well.
I really don't want to see them. It would be ridiculous if we did at this point, honestly. And I hated the scene with them in Rogue One.
It just felt so forced in
So forced.
Rogue. It was like, this does not make sense currently. I'm like, what is this crap?
It was just the sake of having him in there, and he really didn't need it. So yeah, I don't want them in this. Please be right.
Yep.
Kieran, what do you got for your last one?
For my last one, let's go with a wacky one. Somehow, Naboo will feature in this movie.
Okay, lead me through your how you reached this. But yeah, okay, lead me down the story.
There'll either be like a it won't be a big scene, like there won't be a massive scene in it, but there'll be a part where there's either like a montage of going to grab things or doing little like stealing things or something. And one of the points will be there.
Why though? Like, why is it Naboo? Like,
I just thought it'd be a cool time to include Naboo.
Maybe I can believe there might be a Gungan in like a bar scene or something, but I don't think they're
I
going
would
to go.
love to
They're
see a
going to
Gungan
Naboo.
somewhere. I would love that. I'm all for them slowly just putting in more prequel stuff, just in the back,
I
just
think they
linking
should.
more prequel stuff
Because
in.
Naboo was in. There was an image of Naboo in number 7, right? When everywhere got blown up, one of them was Naboo. Maybe
No.
No. What am I thinking of? Don't worry then.
Coruscant.
No, you know what I'm thinking? It's that crappy scene they added in the episode 6.
Yes, they shown Naboo.
They show Naboo there. That's what I'm thinking of. Don't worry.
They added in planets, yeah. I'm all for seeing a Gungan in a random bar, but I don't know how we see Naboo ever. But okay, sure.
That's fine. I'm going with it.
Ballsy pick.
Let's do it.
And that is wrapping up our Star Wars solo predictions. We will go back over those next week after we've watched the movie to see who is actually correct.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. Can't wait to watch it. Hopefully it'll be great. If it's not, I will not be that man. At worst, I think the movie is just going to be good, not great. I don't think it'll be bad. I'm not worried about it being bad. Lucasfilm isn't going to put out a bad movie. They wouldn't do that. Next week's episode will probably go up a little bit later than all these ones. These ones have all been dropping at 9 a.m. The one where we talk about it next week, and we'll be doing a full hour, at least, discussion on the Star Wars Solo movie. Solo or Star Wars, whatever
Movie.
the fuck it's called. Yeah, movie. Will be out at some point next week. Make sure to keep track of our Twitter at Explosion Pod to see when that's coming at you. Hot speeders in the face. If you want to talk to Ash, where can they talk to you, Ash?
You can talk to me on Twitter at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY is a thing.
If you want to speak Gungan to Ciaran, where can they do that?
You can come over and speak Gungan with me at your boy Ringo on the Twitters, or come yell it at me in Twitch chat on twitch.tv/Explosion Network.
Where you'll be streaming Battlefront 2.
Fuck no. Oh, maybe if we do the Ewok thing. The Ewok thing is the only thing I kind of want to play.
Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaladil, VIVALADIL. Make sure you head over to explosionnetwork.com where you can find this season of Alderaan Explosion, the first season of Alderaan Explosion, my review for Solo, whenever that goes up at some point after the movie's out.
If
my
it
review
goes up.
It'll go up.
You didn't
What do you
do
mean
one
if-
for the episode 8.
I'll do one for this. I'm not as heavily
Okay.
biased as I felt like I was going into episode 8, so I'll do one. You'll see a review for Solo. Mark my podcasty lips. You know,
Well, now
Ooh,
you're committed.
Smack him.
I'm committed now. And all the other great content that we do at Explosion Network. Keep it phases locked to that website. Set
Are there
them to
phases in
stun,
Star
ladies
Wars?
and
Isn't
gentlemen.
that Star Trek?
What? I
Set
know
your
what you're
phases
talking
to
about.
stun
Don't
in
even
Star
take that-
Trek, you
don't-
fuck.
No way that's Star
Set your
Trek.
blasters too.
Is that a red shirt I see under that hoodie? Is
What
that a red
is going
shirt?
on? I don't know. That's
Fucking
crazy.
imposter.
May the force be with you. Always.
Hello, it's Ciaran here from the Explosion Network, and this be your ad read from May 2018. If you're a fan of top 10 lists, then boy oh boy do we have a show for you that does just as well as BuzzFeed, WatchMojo, IGN, or anywhere bloody else to be perfectly honest, but in about half the time. Top 5 with Nick is currently airing in its first season, and the season's theme is video games. We love video games here at the Explosion Network. Join Nick and 2 guests every fortnight as they break down topics like launch games, gaming peripherals, and first-person shooters. Explosion Network's bulletin board. Alderaan Explosion is back this month. Join Dylan and guests for 3 episodes from May 11th in lead up to Solo. Oh, it's coming! It's so close! If you're watching Westworld Season 2 at the moment, make sure you follow us over at twitch.tv/Explosion Network for Bevanworld. Our weekly recap and discussion about Westworld. Find it all on our Twitch channel, and once again, twitch.tv/Explosion Network, or over at our YouTube, youtube.com/Explosion Network. Have a fantastic May.
Quick tidbit, you know that song I'm Riding Solo by Jason Derulo?
Yeah.
I used to sing I'm Han Solo lyrics to that song.
I'm pretty sure in that stupid Just Dance game that they did
Star
with
Wars
Star Wars,
Connect.
they did a version of that. That's
Really? Because I'd never heard anything, but I was like, I'm Han
yeah. I'm pretty
Solo.
sure that's
I'm up in my ship, flying the Millennium Falcon, riding through the stars and blah, 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 blah. I'm Solo. I'm Han Solo. I'm Han
yeah. I'm
Solo.
pretty sure that's.
I think you're
literally a
ruining the
song.
film for everybody.
Yeah.
See
Cool.
you next week.
Live long and
No,
prosper.
They've long and got.
Oh, God.